Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're jumping headfirst into this really intense world, where street culture just crashes into digital content.
Yeah, it's a wild space. We're talking authenticity debates, loyalty tests, and, well, how real-life drama just becomes viral content.
Exactly. So for this deep dive, we've got a bunch of your sources, articles, YouTube clips, Reddit threads, the whole lot. We're going to try and unpack these recent high-profile beefs.
Right, the controversies lighting up the urban content scene. We'll look at those blurred lines, what's real conflict, what's maybe performance, and the whole business of selling your personal story.
Our mission today is really to guide you through these raw dynamics.
Yeah.
We want you to get a clearer picture of how platforms like No Jumper, for instance, are handling this stuff entertainment versus, well, what some call exploitation.
And what it means for everyone involved, right? The
Yeah.
creators, the audience. We'll pull out the key takeaways from the sources so you can feel informed about this honestly fascinating corner of the internet.
Okay, so we've kind of set the scene, this chaotic landscape. Let's get into a key figure, Adam22. He's often described as redefining things, but there's this constant question: is he a provocateur or more like a digital Jerry Springer?
That comparison to Springer is really interesting, isn't it?
It is.
Because both seem to mix reality with, well, deliberate provocation, turning real human drama into, entertainment.
And critics definitely argue it's often bad for the people involved, stirring things up for clicks instead of actually resolving anything.
Right. And a big part of this recent conversation involves Reggie Cole, OG Gumby, his arrival on No Jumper. That really shook things up.
He's definitely a polarizing figure. Former Hoover criminal gang member, 92nd Street Hoover specifically, wrongfully convicted of murder young, spent 14 years locked up before it got overturned.
Yeah, and then more charges later, time served. Now he's this voice talking about systemic injustice, police brutality.
But his arrival immediately caused friction, right? People like Whack 100, King Pill, hinting at deeper street stuff, unresolved issues.
Exactly. Which instantly made people ask, is No Jumper going for authentic stories or just leaning into the drama?
And Gumby, he didn't mince words about Adam22. First off, accused him of empowering bullshit, basically giving platforms to active gang members.
Yeah, he flat out said Adam's the #1 contributor to gang violence in the city.
How so?
By letting opposed people, he mentioned King Pill, Crip Mac, 4 Extra, letting them speak ill and spread propaganda against other communities, potentially fueling, in Gumby's words, whole gang wars.
Wow, that's intense.
And it got personal, too. He called Adam12 or Adam17 from Neighborhood.
Which basically means
They-
an informant, police.
Yeah, essentially implying he's aligned against Gumby's community. Said Adam's biased on the other side doesn't support the Hoover community equally.
That's a heavy accusation. It really speaks to the mistrust there, huh?
Absolutely. It highlights that tension, giving someone a platform versus actually understanding or representing their community. These worlds colliding, conflicts of interest just bubble up.
And then there was that whole carrot in the butt thing.
Ugh, yeah, that rumor. Gumby reacted really strongly. Said his community is, and this is his quote, probably some of the most homophobic people and wouldn't tolerate fagging shit. Very strong language.
Right, and Adam's response was?
Adam said he didn't push for it, and the person who supposedly did it denied it. But Gumby used it as another example of the, quote, bullshit Adam promotes.
Okay, and Gumby also took issue with Adam calling himself just a podcaster.
Yeah, called it a cop-out, said it avoids the responsibility of a journalist to report accurate and precise news.
Well, Adam just maintained he's having live conversations, not compiling journalistic reports.
Right. But is it just about titles? Or is it about accountability? Does podcaster let you off the hook for accuracy when you're dealing with real conflict, real people?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Back to authentic storytelling or exploitation. It's such a fine line, giving a voice versus maybe turning someone's life into a meme.
Totally. But, the other side of the coin is that Adam's platform does bring these raw stories to a huge audience, people who might never hear these voices otherwise.
A bit like Springer, maybe. Showing marginalized experiences, even if the way it's done is debatable.
Exactly. The motives, the impact, always up for debate.
Okay, so building on that ethical tightrope, let's shift to another major tension. The public feud. This is where it gets really murky. Are these beefs real, or is it all just performance?
Oh, yeah. The academics versus Trell thing is a perfect example, like digital theater.
So what happened? They ran into each other in Cooks and Caicos?
Yeah, academics went online saying Trell showed up to his section parched, begging for Don Julio shots, traveling on Paul Pierce's money.
Okay.
And then Aka contrasted it with his own spending jets, villas, security, called Trell and Heather professional riders, basically saying they use famous people for clout. Tyga, Paul Pierce, Kylie Jenner.
Ouch. And how did the fans react? I saw some stuff on Reddit.
Oh, Reddit went off. Places like Our Back and Fig2, lots of disappointment, anger, people saying Trell got marked out.
Marked out, like publicly humiliated.
Yeah, basically. Said he acted like a groupie, showed no integrity for not, fighting. People were mad a fade didn't happen after all the online talk.
Right. And some users even brought up Adam22's wife, Lena, referencing old stuff.
Tying it to Adam's perceived, loss of status. It got messy.
So what was academic side of it? Why didn't it escalate?
Aka said he actually stopped his goons from pressing Trell. So he sees the whole beef as just content, totally separate from real life.
Okay.
He stressed being neutral in foreign places, wouldn't risk jail for internet drama, pointed out his own security costs for actual protection.
And he had some strong words for gangster podcasting.
Oh, yeah. Slammed LA podcasters, specifically for running plays, faking the gangster stuff and doing WWE.
Like pro wrestling, performative.
Exactly. Talking crazy shit, making threats, but never actually crashing out, going to jail or fighting. He brought up Taxstone as someone who did crash out.
So a real-world consequence example.
Right. Ack pointed out the contradiction. West Coast guys always talking fades that don't happen, unlike, say, East Coast podcasters like Joe Budden, who don't constantly talk about fighting.
And he thought Trell and Heather were just being friendly in person, like worshiping fame.
That was his take, yeah. Friendly when the cameras weren't rolling, basically.
So Ack makes this really clear line. Online performance versus real life.
Absolutely. Which makes you ask, what does stand on business even mean online now? Fan expectations for authenticity, for real confrontation, they just clash head-on with the actual risks, legal career these creators face.
It's that disconnect again. Ack sees real, like, say, the Troy Ave incident versus the fake WWE stuff. And the fans on Reddit, they were clearly expecting something closer to the real.
Exactly. And that Troy Ave thing you mentioned, it's a stark contrast, isn't it?
Yeah, remind us what happened there.
Well, recently, the rapper Troy Ave allegedly fired a gun at someone trying to rob him in San Diego. Academics use that as his example of real action matching a persona, unlike what he calls the West Coast plays of empty threats.
Okay, so it really puts the podcast beefs in perspective, which brings us to, well, what happens when real tragedy hits and it gets tangled up in this whole business of digital fame? Let's talk about 4Extra.
Right. The 4Extra situation is complex. He had that awful hand injury, didn't he? Firework accident.
Yeah, reportedly a detonated firework left him temporarily blind, hand bandaged, burns. Really serious stuff.
And immediately after, he needed money for medical bills, right? Set up a fundraiser for, what, $30,000?
That's right. And Adam22 donated $1,000.
Then things got awkward fast.
Yeah, the bad look. He was seen pretty quickly talking about getting blue strips, $100 bills, acting kind of flashy right after asking for donations.
Oof. Yeah, that didn't go over well. People were saying, give me my money back, asking if donations went to chains instead of doctors. Just a perceived terrible look.
And then the hospital visit thing happened. Adam tried to visit.
Yeah, Adam said he tried to go, stressed it wasn't for content, just as a friend. But he got blocked. 4Extras people apparently said they weren't letting anyone through.
But Kevin Gates visited.
Right, Kevin Gates made this, Adam called it bizarre visit. Adam definitely took that as a snub.
And the texts weren't going through either.
His texts to 4Extras started showing up green, unread, unanswered. Adam basically concluded, okay, he don't mess with you anymore.
And then you had other voices chiming in, like the WIG TV host.
Yeah, amplifying the criticism, suggesting Adam seemed almost excited. Something happened that he could monetize, accused him of trying to exploit the injury.
Which probably wasn't helped by Adam apparently chuckling at that king pill fade God joke about the injury.
Exactly. It just fed into that narrative of exploitation, whether intended or not. It shows how sensitive things get.
And the final straw, maybe, was the interview demand. $50,000.
Yeah, 4Extra reportedly asked for 50 tears for his first interview back. Adam flatly said, no jumpers economics just don't support that, especially with content getting clipped and spread instantly.
So it became a loyalty issue. Adam felt betrayed.
That seemed to be his feeling. Like, my platform made you famous enough to even ask for 50K? But then others argued, well, 4Extra's own spunking charisma, his stories, that's his value, not just the platform.
It's just,
Yeah.
wow, how fast relationships and loyalty seem to just dissolve under the pressure of money and image online.
It really is fascinating, that constant pull between like genuine care and maybe feeling you have to capitalize on every single moment.
Yeah. And who really owns someone's success when they start on someone else's platform? Does the platform get loyalty forever? Or does the creator eventually just own their own story, their own value?
Big questions. No easy answers there.
So as we wrap this up, it's just clear that this whole urban podcasting world is incredibly dynamic, contradictory even.
Definitely. We've touched on the ethics, that blurry line between real life and performance, how loyalty and money get defined and redefined constantly.
Yeah.
And connecting it all, maybe the question for you, the listener, is something like this. In this world where real drama becomes entertainment fodder, where reputations are built on seeming gangster, what are we actually getting out of it as consumers?
Is it just new entertainment? Or are these platforms actually, shaping culture, for better or worse?
Right. Something to think about how consuming this content shapes your own view of what's real online.